Thank you very much for arriving. So, banks, back in the days when fintechs were arising, technology providers had the new innovations, we could sense a little fear from the banks. What's going on? Are the fintechs going to be our competitors? Are they going to steal our clients? But after some time, I was reading yesterday some research and found out that 65% of banks actually partner up with fintechs, and actually 35 of them has already invested somehow into the fintechs. So yeah, everyone wants to work with the bank because it's amazing. However, banks want to innovate. They want to try to be agile. On the other hand, there are so many processes, so many stakeholders. From fintechs, it's super hard to get into the bank. So here on the panel discussion, we will discuss how banks are trying to work with the fintechs and how fintechs are trying to partner up with the banks. And for that, we brought amazing speakers. And please, if you could introduce yourselves, because I will definitely would do some faux pas and misspell the name. So please, Andrei, if we could start with you.
Yeah, I will be presenting myself for the second time. So I'm Andrei, I'm from Panelists, and we have the fintech vertical, and I'm head of unit, one of the units there. And we are working in different companies, helping to leverage their digital transformation, and also we building products as from the zero and providing the consultancy on the building of that complicated systems and solutions there.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Elma. I work for Raiffeisen Bank International, or more precisely, the Elevator Lab Partnership Program. And through this program, we work, or we try and scout and find startups to build partnerships with, not only for RBI in Austria, but also for our 12 CE markets.
Could you pass? Thank you.
We'll have to share the mics. So my name is Michaela Bauer. I'm here from Czech Republic. In Česu, we're responsible for technology, digital data, daily banking, innovations, and startups.
Thank you. Thank you for invitation to this beautiful hall here. My name is Patrik Nový, although the line above myself says Michaela. Well, it's not the case, and we just swapped the places. Thanks again for invitation. I have the honor to also collaborate with fintechs and startups, and I try to help Komerční banka, which is the local part of Societe Generale, and fintechs to work nicely together to build the future financial services as they should be.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for the introduction and joining us on the panel. So I would kick it off actually with also my introduction. So I'm from the fintech side. I work for Data. We are a data company, and we successfully partner up with 20 banks. So I will also try to give my input how to work with the banks. But of course, we want to get the insights of the speakers. So I will kick it off with the question. So how is it actually? So do banks want to partner up with the fintechs or they don't?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's a very simple answer because the entire core business of what we do at the Elevator Lab is to try and partner up with fintechs. Lately it's not just fintechs, it's startups in general. We started back in 2017, and I think back then it was the hot topic of fintechs are trying to take away our business and our clients. And back then we said, okay, why don't we try to actually create partnerships with them? And since then, we changed this program and this concept so much because we first started for the benefit of the head office in Austria. And then we saw that a lot of our network banks wanted to get involved and to also work with startups and fintechs. So for the past 5 years, we organized every year a set of challenges through this partnership program. And some of them were focused on global fintechs and startups. Some of them were focused on local ones. We organized boot camps and so on. So this is all a part of our offering. What we see with our business lines and with our network banks is that there is a need to co-innovate with startups and with fintechs. And where we always start in this process is by approaching them first and asking, okay, what is the field where you really see that there would be a benefit from partnering up? And this is how we then start this process. I'm very happy to say that also until now, we have had a majority of our network banks participate in this program. So I would say that it's obviously a need in the financial sector.
Beautiful, thank you. Michaela, how do you see it?
So, oh, sorry, you were holding my mic and I missed the opportunity. We have a slightly different approach, so I will describe ours. Of course, it makes sense to come directly to your question, to partner, and there are many ways how you can actually cooperate, and I agree with you. Also for us, it's not about fintechs, it's in general startups, anything new, any new company, any new idea, not necessarily a fintech. A lot of our energy, obviously, and you will not be surprised, goes into any type of AI solution, which is, again, not necessarily only linked to the financial sector, but can be applied universally. But our two main approaches, next to regular commercial partnerships, are on the, I would say, almost CSR level, supporting young entrepreneurs. So we have our own incubator, which seems to be pretty successful, pretty popular. We have a great NPS of all those who have incubated with us. We have many successful names, actually, who have raised tens of millions of dollars afterwards. And in the last 4 years, out of hundreds of applications, we cooperated with, I believe, it's more now than 80 startups. We usually have half-yearly waves where we always select around 10. That's one thing, and that's why I call it a CSR, because that's our support. We are not a venture capitalist there, and we simply try to provide experts and cultivate the startup culture here in Czech Republic by putting our piece to it. The second part is investing in startups, or there it is closer to what you would call fintech. We try every year to find at least one company where we can invest into. Contrary to other Czech banks, our program is not run via a separate vehicle, I would say, which invests, and there I will right away hand over to you. And we usually do not invest minority stakes. We go minimally for 50-50 partnerships, and after some time, years, we usually even buy out and acquire the whole company. So we have done this in the past few years, and that's totally different, and by the way, totally difficult, because you're killing the startups, of course, as a bank when you acquire such a big stake. But that's another story. Maybe we come to that later.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let me pick on that. What I really like and what might be also helpful to the audience in fintech startups, I think it's becoming increasingly clear that yes, they can cooperate, startups and fintechs. Yes, both sides create kind of the future of financial services, and both bring something valuable to the relationship. So that's kind of clear. So I was thinking, how to present our part so that I do not repeat that. Yes, we all agree on that. Mm-hmm. Your answers really helped me answer myself. It seems to me really nice that the bank tried to use different approaches to this cooperation. That the way Raiffeisen is kind of, doing the seed and the mentoring, and you describe even the grassroots kind of approach, and also, seed started from Česká spořitelna, also a specific approach. We also do a specific approach. So there is to choose from. You are really young, fintech. It's probably KBC, ČSOB, maybe a little bit older. It seems like Raiffeisen probably is the growth phase. So it would be more like Komerční banka, Société Générale. We don't feel that we have competitive advantage, at the sheer scale of bringing the ideas really running. Others are better in that. We want to bring growth to the fintechs and startups, either growth in products or in clients or internationally within the Société Générale group. And we expect that we receive either unique product propositions or a specific segment offers or new distribution channels. So it seems to me, I just observed nice that we differ in what we offer to the startups. So it's kind of not a mess, it's a nice map.
Beautiful. This is really interesting from me, from the startup perspective, because then I don't have to waste time of anybody of you when I'm in the seed, stage, or where I'm already in the middle, or where I'm scaling up. So I can choose actually, and maybe be a little bit more successful when I go to particular bank. How is it from your perspective, from fintech perspective? Do you see the same approach that actual banks are welcoming you and with open hand, open arms, saying, "Yeah, we want you," or how is it?
So I had the longest time to think about the answer. And I think we are living in a really interesting time because COVID-19 accelerated the banks because of the, they got the empty branches, no people inside, and etc. It accelerated the digitalization of the banks. So from one thing, what's actually bank for the same SMEs? It's the trustworthy source to get the financing. And the startup it's like, yeah, it's innovative, it's flexible, and etc. But the startup needs trust and financing. And banks, they're like, yeah, they're big, they're enterprise, but they're not flexible, and they're, slow. Kind of don't want to, abuse it on, but they're slow in adapting into the local market, into the disrupting market. So by partnership, it's just eliminates both of the negative sides, as from this side and from other, because like I don't know, I have the customer who was actually invested and financed by Refinance Group, one of the SME financing platform, because everything is what I see, and it will be interesting to observe how the tech is kind of getting to the fin. What I mean by that big companies, like the big tech companies like Google, Apple, and etc., they start to make and offer financing services from themselves. And the thing is that the banks, if they want, have this flexible path and fast adoption rate, they may go into the laggard category, and you gotta run. And to speed up the pace, they make it by the acquisitions, by the financing, and by buying out someone, just the competitor. So I agree that it's interesting time to observe this partnership and how they are actually becoming not just the bank, and making that your cash management, but as they are becoming a one-stop marketplace to, I don't know, you're doing great, and do you want the ESG consultancy to leverage all your non-financial risk and etc. So bank will become your digital advisor to help you actually to save the money and to make the money further. So yeah, that's happening, and I really appreciate that I am in this time, and we are on the edge of this transformation, which is going to happen.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I just realized one thing. I would like to make this really interactive. So if you have any questions to our speakers, feel free to raise hand, and we will try to answer that questions. So right now, think about the question, and then feel free to raise hand. And Andrei, you touched upon a really interesting thing, which made me thought. So what is the reason actually why banks want to partner with the fintechs? You mentioned speed to market, or time to market, right? Or innovation, or what is it?
I mean, it's funny because basically everything that Andrei said, I would have repeated. What we see is that banks have the trust, like he said, but we also have the customer base, and we have the respectability and the influence. And then the startups, precisely like Andrei said again, have this, they're the pushers of the technology and new ideas in the space. And they are more agile, we are aware of that. They are faster, and this is precisely why we do it. through the Elevator Lab program, or how we structure it, is that we have a pretty set up process where we, at the end of each program, when we select one startup, we have a structured onboarding that lasts for 3 to 4 months. And this is also when we do this POC or test out their solution. And these 3 to 4 months are enough for us to understand whether this will fill out our KPIs or whether this is not a solution for us. So yeah, I would say all of those reasons are why we are doing this.
Cool.
Yeah, for us, similarly, as you say, there are many reasons, but when I think about where we usually go, it's usually in the ecosystems where we want to be as a bank. It's simply speeding you up because you're not building yourself. Usually, and of course that depends on the valuation, but we simply look at how long would this take us to develop, will we even be able to, because of course we also have in-house large numbers of skillful people, but it's mostly then the prioritization on what you focus on. And when someone is smarter and have already developed something interesting, then it's much easier for us to step in via an investment. So that's why we do it, to go where we believe the ball will be on a fast track.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add, or it's similar?
Yeah, it is similar. So let me again expand to a different direction. I was really glad a couple of years ago to find out that the days of ever smart banker in a tall building are over. That the banks are opening up, and also the fintechs. I think that they have lost their prejudices of the bankers. That the two sides became able to cooperate to mutual benefits. Let me chip in rather. Not really why, but how we do, or how our approach might be specific, or how we, I believe, as banks differ a little bit from venture houses, pure venture houses, or pure venture investors. Their why is the equity ROI, the return. I believe that few banks think like that. We think a little bit different. We need, or at least I guess that's going to be also the case of my colleagues here. We need decent ROI. That's all right. But what we prefer rather is the discussion about the business synergy in between. So a typical discussion with a bank and with us would be about the business, about how we can bring the fintech product to our client, how we can bring the growth to the fintech. Can we really finance you? Can we really tackle a joint segment together or not? So this is going to be a usually month-long discussion about the business potential. And if the business potential is there, then kind of this is the ticket to go on with the equity discussion or with different discussion. So this is going to be a little bit reverse discussion, which fintechs are having with the VCs. So that's one of the specifics which I see.
Beautiful, thank you very much. I was thinking, let's imagine a situation that I'm a startup and I want to work with one of you. Now we know that I could focus on which stage I am, so I can choose one of you. You already mentioned that you have Elevator Labs challenges, so that's one thing, right? So what should I do to reach out to you? Like, what are the activities, like some of the challenges that you probably might have, or do you do some incubators, or what is the thing that I should monitor to reach out to, right? I hope that the question makes sense, right? Does it?
Yes, it's too simple,
Open.
and it's a very guiding, suggesting question. So, incubator, yes, I mentioned we have an incubator, so please apply to start it at ČSOB or start it at KBC in Belgium. But yes, I believe there are the incubators. This is what you can do when you're quite a young team. With us, as I said, this will not bring you the capital, but it will prove your concept sufficiently that by the end of this, and by the way, we're even proud when the startups decide to close the shop, because it saves them usually tons of money and stress. So it's not just that we are proud when we incubate and have a positive result, because positive for us is also explaining that someone finds out themselves that he or she is going down a blind road. But the other simple thing I wanted to say was that you can reach out to me, because I actually really personally look at, I try to review around, usually it's about 20 opportunities. Czech market is not so big. We rather look locally. We are not looking at the startups from other countries, but of course we don't mind, and we very much encourage startups which can then be internationally active also in other countries, not only our home markets, because we're active only in 6 countries, so hardly ever you have exact match with those countries when you're a startup as our group has, but when you are internationally minded, there's of course a plus, but at the same time, I really try to look at the opportunity, and usually I can tell you same day, to be quite honest, after the meeting, if there is a strategic fit with ČSOB or not. So all nice buzzwords and programs by side, I guess actually you have it very similarly, because you simply look at the opportunity and you know if it makes sense to continue discussing or not pretty fast.
Should we get in touch with you via email or LinkedIn or?
All of you, yeah.
Exactly. Everybody's
No.
pulling up the phones and sending emails now.
No, of course I'm on LinkedIn, but please do. Seriously, we are interested to find new smart people and work together.
Yeah, thank you. I suggest not to take for granted and for truth what I say. I suggest to reach out to the fintechs which we cooperate with, to verify that this really works, that we are not kidding ourselves. So why don't you reach out to? I saw Jan Laštůvka from Lemonero. He was speaking there previously. The light is really strong. I cannot see. So why don't you reach out to Jan Laštůvka and ask, does it work? Does it not work? Honza, you should be giving testimonials that this really works. Okay? Yeah.
Fun fact, we both discussed with Lemonero, and you choose him, so see?
Yeah, I'm sure it would work with KBC. Equally, it was, whatever. Why don't you reach out to Roger, the invoice financing platform, or Upvest, or the others? That's one of the ways. Of course, you can go to kbsmartsolutions.cz. And apply. You really might reach out to our startup scout, Tomáš Michalek. That's the guy waving over there, standing and doing squats. Tomáš. No, yeah, but that's another way just to get the peers. You can find out which are the startups we invested in, or maybe not invested but are cooperating. We have some 6 invested startups. We have some developed in-house. You can also reach out to those. We also successfully closed some of the projects. You will find it on the web. I can put you even to contact with those guys. That will be the insider information, and this is really available. Or just get to me, and I will tell you what we are not good at.
But this
which
is really
will imply
interesting.
what we are good at.
I didn't know that actually I should reach out to fintechs that already work with you.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
I didn't think about that. So really good insight. Thank you very much. Any questions so far? Anybody? We have a first question over there. I don't know if we have a mic that we can use. Try to scream it. Go ahead.
Can I start? It's a very good question, and that's one of the reasons that I'm here today as well. In the past 4 years, we have been focusing exclusively on startups. And in the last year, maybe even a bit more, we have realized the need that we need to cooperate with other corporates and with other banks on specific topics. So we kicked off last year with a corporate partner in Romania, and we're doing currently a POC with them. So yeah, I would just say that this is also a good opportunity for us to get connected, and this is also one of the reasons I'm here.
So again, I'll start with the easier part. It's not excluded. I think you're Dateo. That means you have two. We are not sitting here from those banks, but two banks minimally invest in you in Czech Republic, right? So
Exactly.
it's Airbank and Erste. So that's an example of a company where two banks side by side. Then we are able, as banks, co-found something you could call fintechs. The Bank ID project is basically co-founded by the three big Czech banks and then successively amended by others. So 10 banks have agreed together to basically digitalize the state in the first step when the Czech state wasn't that far. So this shows that we are able to cooperate very well, but there was this other example, and Roger was mentioned, Lemonade was mentioned. We basically, the Czech market is quite small. We usually speak to all those companies which are willing and suitable for cooperation with the banks. And then, like you nicely explained, it's the same story. You, of course, send the startups to talk to your other previous investments, and you try to get them interested in you. And there we do not cooperate because we want them for ourselves, to be quite honest. So it's a mix, depends on the topic.
Yeah, it is a mix. We do quite advanced projects which are quite tailor-made, and the approach would be differing. We have projects where we are really the minority shareholder, and we don't mind and welcome that the startup growth with partnering with other banks, and that would be including Roger, one of the fintechs, or Finbrix, which is our own invested 100% established company. But other projects such as Upvest, the investment platform, which we already own by a large majority, and we share our top clients and private clients, which is really the gold which we have. This we are, and we really believe that this platform is something special. This we do not share for competitive purposes, but generally it differs project by project. I can imagine all of the approaches which you described last about.
Go ahead.
If I may just add, I think that it's a difference in perspectives. The Elevator Lab program, we do not invest in startups, so I think this is the main difference. And also we come from this bigger division that's called strategic partnerships and ecosystems. So it's really important for us to build relationships with other banks, with other corporates, as well as startups. I think this is where the main difference is coming from. We do have a separate venture capital entity that's called Elevator Ventures, and they do the investments. But we do not ask for any stake in the startup when we are working with them. So for us, it's mainly about defining the challenge and then co-innovating. Whether it's with another corporate or just the startup and us, if we can get more people on board, then it's even better and we can bring in more expertise.
I love it. I love it that there is this, that the banks want to work with the startups. Andre, I came up with the question on the spot. I was thinking, so do you have actually any tips for the banks, what they could do so they can be more efficient in reaching out to the startups, or actually startups applying to them? Because now we heard how they do it, but maybe you as from the startup world, you might have some tips how they could improve it, for example. Do you have something?
Hard question, actually. Hard because we live in a really noisy environment now, and we have lots and lots of startups coming up, and everyone thinks they're already unique, but it's already reinvented bicycle. So first you just really validate that you get a really something beneficial for the group, and answering the question where you maybe co-founded or what. One of our clients was founded by Raiffeisen Group, actually, and They were saying, don't tell anyone it's NDA and etc. Next day, everyone knew it. Everyone knew it on the next day. And this word is very tight. So if you have a great background and etc. And like the thing is, what might be improved, it's like all of this due diligences, compliances, getting the through regulations and etc. GDPR, it's pretty complicated and long journey. And of course, we understand that the banks has to be compliant with, and that's why the startups had to go with. But like, they don't need this investment. They might not survive if that will go really long. You got the idea, you validated it, you pitched the deck to investors. We may guide you through this and pitch the deck and I don't know, draw the high fidelity wireframes or etc. or make the animation, whatever. But then all of the success comes from the idea you're pitching. Like banks got like tons of data, but not all the banks are using that correctly. And if you, for example, have some innovative, big data solution, etc., it will evolve and it will be founded tomorrow. Yeah. And like that's not true, because like currently offering the cash management and I would say the thing is like I am here, I can offer you if anything needed. But actually what the banks are going to go is to, I predict that's something you will need in 2 weeks or something. For example, you some healthcare and the bank can see the information on your transportation. You got the connection and like, okay, you can save the money on transportation by choosing another vendor or something like that. I can go, in fantasy a lot, but like get your idea really well worked out, prepare for the pitch, and consider all the compliances and regulations you have to face out, because the banks are facing out that too, and you have to do that. We are still, unfortunately, have to go through this path.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you very much. Actually, you had a pretty nice presentation when I was listening before this panel. So if there are some fintechs, idea validation and the process of development, I think that was included in your presentation. Talk to Andre. Hey, it was perfect timing. We just finished. So we have one more question, last question.
I will be quick, I promise. So just a quick question. You guys talking about the cooperation with the fintech and the banks. Is there any true in my words when I'm thinking that sometimes the banks cooperating with the fintech just to mitigate the risks which they have? So they have to be compliant, they have to care about their clients, but they have an idea. They have a team. I know the banks, how it works. They have a capacity in the team, but sometimes they cannot do something. And they really want to try. And sometimes there's suddenly some startup doing this same thing, and it will be really nice if they have a startup invest in this, having in relations to validate the idea which is similar or exactly what they wanted to validate without a risk, because this is not their name, this is not their, I would say, background. It's not us doing this, but the idea is quite awesome. I don't know. It could be comfort, on the edge with the law or regulations or anything like that. But we would like to try, but not our startup, which we are invested. Is there any true in that words, or you're not considering fintechs as a validation platform for your ideas, which you cannot do that yourself? Yeah.
If I'm not sure I 100% got it. If not, please correct me. I understood that the question was whether offloading an idea of the bank to a startup might be also a validation. Well, yeah, you could kind of view it from that angle. What many banks do, and we also do, we also invest in our kind of spin-offs, which for some reason we are either not able or we do not want for agility reasons or regulatory reasons, which we cannot develop on the perimeter on the bank. I mentioned FinBricks, this PSD2 operator. There are You can be faster and more nimble if you have a small company which is, yes, owned by the bank, but kind of outside with less regulatory scrutiny and compliance scrutiny. That's one angle. And second angle, sometimes this cooperation and investment might, evolve into the product of the startup, making it to the bank. So this would be kind of the reverse, but also a kind of a special case of validation. And it seems to me that also with the trend of open banking, this is what will happen sort of naturally, that the products connecting up to the banking platform will be doing the feasibility by themselves without having anyone approving of or disapproving of. So yes, if this was the question.
Also, I'm not totally sure if I will fit with my answer, but very shortly, trying to imagine if I had the idea in my team in the bank anywhere, we will be able to execute it. So we would not look for a startup or create a startup and offload it to it. I rather look at the startups as the source of the idea as well, because I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, but we are really big enough, and we have then, if we are convinced of the idea, it's much more difficult for me to find someone to validate it with, rather than doing it myself. So, but it's just how I now am imagining if something like that happened, that it would actually in the end not happen like that.
No, nothing to add. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for arriving. I hope you had a good time. So if you give a hand to our speakers, thank you very much.